News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. Carlton Brown, a former Marine and Toys for Tots volunteer, is excited about the new location for their office warehouse. The charity organization was housed in a Cache Community Food Pantry warehouse and needed to find a new place due to a planned expansion of the pantry. The new Toys for Tots location is now 52 West, 3900 North in Hyde Park near Castle Manor. The new location is on the west side of Advantage Automotive in the same building. Brown said the new place is a little smaller, but it does have heating and air conditioning with an indoor restroom. They also have room for semi-trucks to drive up and drop off toys. During the Christmas season, they have pallets of toys being dropped off from other parts of the country. Last year, the organization served nearly 7,000 children from Cache, Box Elder, Franklin, Rich, and Oneida counties. Every year, their toy campaign begins in October and goes until December 22nd. People across the country drop off new unwrapped toys at collection receptacles located in businesses. Local Toys for Tots coordinator pick up, sort, and distribute the toys. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low in the upper 50s, close to 60 degrees. Sunny, warm, around 92 tomorrow. It's 88 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by the Lawn Doctor. Keep dandelions, thistle, clover, and morning glory at bay. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to LawnDoctorCacheValley.com.
Did you just build a home or remodel your current home? Well, if so, John at the Duck Hunter says you should have your heating ducts cleaned as soon as possible and change out to a high-quality furnace filter. The dust from construction, sawdust, drywall, and more is sitting in your ductwork. Your furnace filter's probably clogged. You'd be surprised what John has found in air ducts, toys, construction debris, and rodents. Let the Duck Hunter clean the ducts today. Call for a free consultation. The Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duck Hunter.
KVNU News Time is 4:07. A downtown Logan market that's been happening for 2 months now is held every Wednesday. The Center Street Market starts up each week at 8 a.m. on West Center Street between Main Street and 100 West. On KVNU's For the People program this past week, Gary Saxton of the Logan Downtown Alliance talked about what inspired this new market.
It's kind of a concept that you see in other large metropolitans and throughout Europe in smaller communities.
Oh, sure.
Where the market, people get together midweek and buy things that they need for the week. And so we thought we'd try that here on Center Street with the our new remodeled street with the wider sidewalks, and I think it's turning out really good. And so I think we have created a foundation for something that can continue for years to come.
Saxton said they are pleased with the participation they are getting from vendors and Center Street merchants as well as the general public.
Without those three elements, we wouldn't have a really cool downtown market happening. So we're excited that we at least got it started this year, and I'm sure it'll grow year after year. And since it is new, a lot of people are driving by wondering what's happening. So we hope that they turn in and get out and check it out.
He said they have a variety of merchants from apothecary items to artisan woodwork, fresh cut flowers, and Argentine bakery is there. Also Dutch oven cooking, gourmet macaroni and cheese, Brazilian smoothies and lemonade, fresh beef, fish, cheese, and breads. And Saxton said they'd like to add more food trucks. Those interested can get more information at logandowntown.org. And police are asking for the public's help locating a man suspected of starting a grass fire last week. The fire reportedly occurred near 600 East Canyon Road in Logan on June 20th. In a Facebook post, the Logan City Police Department said the fire started around 3:30 a.m. It was spreading quickly toward nearby homes and up a hillside before being extinguished by Logan City firefighters. As they began investigating the fire, officers reviewed surveillance cameras and found it was allegedly started intentionally. Footage showed a man walking in the area at the time the blaze occurred. The nighttime photos are grainy, but show the alleged suspect walking along the sidewalk near the blaze, wearing shorts, a T-shirt with a button-down shirt on top. Police are asking anyone who may recognize the suspect or if they saw anything suspicious at the time the fire occurred to contact law enforcement. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Breaking news, stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Trouble with pain, sleep, or anxiety? Want better health? Try CBD7, the CBD experts. You simply can't get this water-soluble CBD at grocery, convenience, or health food stores. Water-soluble CBD7 absorbs 15 times better and tastes great. CBD7 has the only clinically proven formula with real measurable results. Many feel better in minutes. CBD7 is not a drug and has no side effects. Other CBDs just can't do all that. Visit CBD7 today. Learn about CBD and try our best for free.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch features breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People, hour one of today's show. It is Monday, June 28th. Feels warmer than it actually is out there today. Although it's pretty warm.
Yeah, 87 is no slouch.
Not as bad as the mid-90s, throughout most of last week and the rest of this week, it looks like.
I'll take 87 over mid-90s any day.
For some reason, it just felt a little warmer to me. I don't know. It's just something in the air. Speaking of this, a reminder for everyone over the weekend how fast things can turn very bad when things are this dry. We've got a couple of drought-related stories we'll be talking about. One involving Pineview Reservoir and just some photos that you may be seeing online today from Pineview. And, anyway, we'll get to that later on in the show. We're going to be talking about a very cool service that maybe some of you out there have heard of this. I had not. I'd never heard of this before. And I just think this is so cool. It's happening right in our own backyard. Well, I mean, technically it's happening statewide, but that it's centered right here in our own backyard through the Utah State University Extension Service. We'll talk about agribility in a little while. It's called Agribility of Utah. If you want to cheat and Google it now, but Randall Bagley, who is the Northern Utah Program Coordinator for Agribility of Utah, will be joining us in hour two of today's show. We'll be talking about the Cruise In. We have
the Cruise In officially happening. Leanne Rimes on the performance list there. This is a big summertime event that was a lot smaller last year. This year, back to basically normal. So we'll have details on that coming up in a bit. But I wanted to start the show with a listener chiming in. I love our listener sense of humor. A listener chiming in here saying, if you're going to talk at all about 4th of July celebrations and you don't mention Gunnison's, you are failing. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Something happening in Gunnison?
Gunnison has a tradition. Actually, to be honest with you, I think this listener might be wrong, because I think it might not be Gunnison. It might be a nearby city or even the count. No, maybe it's Gunnison. I'll shut up. Either way, no, it is Gunnison. I Googled it. Gunnison has a 4th of July celebration that goes back, I think, more than 100 years, that involves shooting off a cannon at 6 in the morning. And they do this every 4th of July. So people wondering if this is going to happen this year, if you're planning on making the drive to Gunnison to be there at 6 a.m., the city plans to do it. Apparently this can be done safely in a way that's not going to spark a fire. But thanks for that tip from the listener. Great way to start the show. Yes, this is Gunnison fires a cannon at 6 in the morning every 4th of July, and everyone who lives in the area knows about it, is used to it. But many people don't know this happens, and it's really loud, apparently. So visitors are oftentimes shocked by this. Stories of that through the years. But speaking of fire, so just a reminder over the weekend that, it's really dry out there. And dry, when we talk about fire fuel often, we talk about grasses and things like that on the hillsides, because we're usually talking about wildfires. But there's another component here that was on display here in Cache Valley just yesterday afternoon, with a fairly large fire that had a lot of potential to be much worse than it ended up being out in Mendon. It was a structure fire, I believe an old barn, but a large structure. And it was quick burning, but they were able to get it out. Now, this happened on top of a major fire in Mendon that had... Bill, do we know how many different fire crews responded to that?
I don't know. I
haven't heard myself, but I know they were there from Hiram. Mendon was there, of course. I believe Logan came in. I don't know if others came in, but it was...
You're talking about the fire yesterday morning.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then that was followed by the structure fire yesterday afternoon. That one was quickly extinguished, but...
Oh, there was one yesterday afternoon?
Yes, it was a barn.
Oh.
And so, but this was a small one, and they were able to get it out quickly. But what was unique about this small structure fire, well, first off, it had the potential to not stay small. The location of this old barn was in a pretty big grassy area on the hillside there. And they were able to get it out with their own water trucks, mainly because they suspected they may have actually started a fire with some of the sparks. And so they were on top of it, thankfully. But the story, as it was passed on to me by these folks who were able to get this structure fire out. And again, remember, this is after a major fire had multiple crews tied up throughout for at least a few hours throughout the morning in Mendon. Nearby, the structure fire that, again, they were able to get under control without having to call for help. It could have been worse. It could have been actually a wildfire. It could have been burning through the hills. That's why they panicked, and it's good they did. But the story behind this second fire, the smaller fire that I wanted to tell you all about, why I wanted to tell you all about this, is the folks sent some pictures in, and they showed what happened. Basically, it was a shovel blade on an ATV. They had an ATV with a push shovel, a small shovel that you might use for maybe clearing snow from a sidewalk. And they were moving it out of a storage shed around to the side to park it temporarily so they could get something else out from behind it. As they backed around through the gravel, the driver put the shovel down, but put it down before the ATV had completely come to a stop. That was all it took. That was it. That shovel coming down, and according to the listener, the shovel probably drug for about 3 inches and I don't know, I wasn't there, but this is from their description in the email with the pictures. That was enough to light the grass. There were sparse clumps of grass in the gravel there that had grown up over the years. That was all it took. They got what they wanted to out of the shed, loaded it in the truck, and they were headed off down the road, and they stopped and took a look back and saw the smoke. Luckily, they had a water truck there themselves for different purposes, and they were able to put this fire out. But it did damage the structure quite a bit, and it might need to be replaced. But that's the story. Just literally just dragging a steel shovel blade attached to the front of an ATV across gravel for a few inches was enough to spark a clump of dry grass. And had they just kept driving, that hillside would have just... Whoo.
Wow.
So the story scared me. And then again, this coming on the heels of a major structure fire in Mendon that had crews tied up for at least 2 hours, if not more, yesterday morning.
Yeah, and a family lost their home.
Yes.
And has been displaced. So,
yeah.
Sad deal.
It's a sad deal, and it affects, in fact, there was a family from Hiram, just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, in the same situation. So the reminder again is that we could all benefit from being, more conscious of these things when we're out, because the home accidents are going to happen anyway. The unexpected is going to happen anyway. The last thing we need is to be adding any work to these firefighters' schedules, days, lives, because I thought about that a lot yesterday as I saw these emails from a listener about, and this listener I don't know was aware of the original home fire in Mendon, but I just thought about that. I thought here you could have had this situation where you have a house fire, tragedy for a family, total loss. Firefighters out there for hours fighting this, trying to stop it from becoming even worse than it already was when they arrived, and putting their lives at risk. At one point, they had to evacuate firefighters from the building. A panic to evacuate them due to conditions inside from the home, and putting their lives at risk. And then just a couple of hours later, an accident could have had them all called right back out to nearly the same area. And so it had me thinking about this. Let's just not add work for them. Let's not do things that result in them getting called out twice on a Sunday. And I'm not blaming anyone here. The listener who sent in these pictures, they were being careful, and they did put the fire out themselves. And I appreciate them sending it in because it was a nice reminder. Because, my friend here sent these in to say, look, this is how quickly it happened. We backed the four-wheeler out. And our best guess is it drug the blade a few inches across the gravel. That was enough. And that could have resulted in these same fire crews being called back out to the same area to fight, after fighting a house fire, being called back out just hours later to the same area to fight what is now a grass fire over throughout the hills of Mendon. This is the reality. And so we all need to be really conscious about this. I don't think we're going to see any big announcements as far as fireworks restrictions. We are seeing, some, like I say, I predict that before the weekend, the rest of the state, we've moved to stage 2, no campfires anywhere, period. A lot of the state already there. So right now, we're still in stage 1, so campfires in improved campgrounds only. But I'm guessing that's going to change even here in northern Utah before the weekend. In fact, I almost guarantee it. They're already talking about it today. So conditions are very dry out there. We're headed into the big fireworks weekend. There have been calls from fire marshals here in Cache County all the way down to Washington County. Fire marshals and fire chiefs, city fire chiefs and county fire marshals throughout the state, basically begging people to skip the personal fireworks this year, which I know isn't fun. That fireworks, for me, I don't know, I've never outgrown that. I don't know that anybody does or should outgrow that. So I get it, but these are the conditions out there, and every single risk taken by every single individual is a potential situation like the one I'm describing from yesterday, where an honest accident, luckily one they caught themselves and took care of themselves, but could have very easily been a whole different scenario where you had these same fire crews that have been out fighting this home fire in Mendon all morning called right back out to the same area to fight a grass fire. I think we should all just think about that. Above and beyond the risk, to loss of property and even life for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones, for our neighbors, our friends. On top of that, I think we need to think about these risks we might be thinking about taking this weekend for fun that are going to potentially result in situations where, like I said yesterday, almost having the same crews called back out to the same area after spending hours putting their lives at risk fighting a home fire to fight a grass fire. We can avoid that. Accidents are going to happen. Unexpected things are going to happen. Tragically, home fires happen. Everything else we can avoid just by being careful or foregoing it entirely for this summer, which I get is not going to be fun. Anyway, check it out. With permission from the listener, I've posted some pictures to our Facebook page of this almost grass fire that they were able to catch on their own property, but it illustrates how quickly this burned. In just, he says, less than a minute's time for them to look and see smoke after backing the four-wheeler out of the shed into the grass. Just within a minute's time, it burned several feet of dry grass.
And that sort of scenario, I mean, it's only going to get worse unless we get some rain or, a lot of rain.
Yeah, it'd be a lot at this point. Which is a great segue into our next segment. Pineview Reservoir water managers saying to those who depend on Pineview for their irrigation water, they're basically saying you're going to have water until the 1st of August. After that, nada. And it has a lot to do with everything the rest of the state's experiencing. The low snowpack, reservoirs not as full as they are in other years. But in addition to that, because this has been a multi-year thing, the ground around the Pineview Reservoir area is so dry, it's leaching. Water is leaching into this dry ground almost as fast as it's being used for irrigation. We'll talk about the science behind this and what's leading some to say it's time to do some infrastructure beefing up ourselves here in Utah when it comes to our reservoirs. That's next here on For the People.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we can give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Call 1-800-ED-JONES. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by any of the 7 Edward Jones offices in Cache Valley.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, number 45. That's right, former President Trump on his imminent trip to the border, whether he'll run again, and so much more.
You never know what Donald Trump is going to say, especially when it's live on the radio. You can't miss it. Hour number 2 of the program, Donald Trump, 45 himself, with me, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton. Tuesday edition. Come hang.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
This is Logan City Police Chief Gary Jensen. Scammers are continuing to target people in the Cache Valley. Fraudsters often threaten with arrest, withholding medical care for loved ones, or offer to sell or purchase items at discounted or inflated prices. Many of these scams often involve third-party gift cards or other money-exchanging services. If you receive an offer or are threatened like this with immediate punishment unless you comply, hang up and call the police to report it. Please do not become a victim.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Speaking of dry conditions, my plea on the other side there, on the previous side, just be careful. Again, a story from a listener about how quickly a situation developed on their own property that could have become, a grass fire throughout the hills of Wellsville and Mendon. They took appropriate steps and stopped that, but they sent the pictures in just to show how quickly this happened, all from what they're guessing is a spark from a snow-pushing blade that was attached to a four-wheeler as they backed it out of a shed to access something behind it in the shed, just parked it in the gravel. There was enough dry grass that had shot up over the years through the bits of gravel there. That's all it took, and by the time they noticed it, less than a minute later, it had burned about 10 feet. They were able to get it out because they had water there handy, and so it wasn't a bad situation in the end. But just a reminder how fast something like that can happen. And again, if this had gotten out of hand and become a hillside grass fire there, it would have been the second time multiple crews have been called to the Mendon area in the same day. So keep that in mind, too. Let's not make work for these men and women on our fire teams. They've got enough that's going to happen anyway with accidents and unexpected things, tragedies that are bound to happen, unfortunately. We don't need to be creating more work for them just because we're being careless or, can't tone it down a little bit in this very dry year. So... speaking of dry, though, this was interesting to me because I don't remember, maybe you do, Bill, I don't remember anything like this in my lifetime, but water managers at Pineview Reservoir, Pineview water officials are basically telling residents, and these would be residents mainly in the some in the Ogden area, as I understand it, but residents in the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District are being told that if they don't change their habits, basically the statement is, and this comes from, again, one of the officials at the Pineview Reservoir, is the Pineview Water Systems reservoir system there for secondary irrigation water. Basically what they're saying is that the water usage they've seen so far will last until August 1st. So if something doesn't change quick, then, and this, I didn't plan this on purpose, but General Manager Ben Quick is the person behind these comments. He said that if the flow that they're seeing right now, the usage they're seeing right now doesn't quickly slow down, then they're going to have to shut off water for residents of the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District by August 1st.
Wow.
And Pineview Reservoir is huge.
Oh, I know.
I mean, this is not a small reservoir.
Yeah, we were up there just a couple months ago. A few months ago, people were still doing ice fishing out there. It's a good size body of water.
Well, it's a primary source for a lot of different purposes, and that is just bad news that water levels are that low. They don't have a choice. This is, again, Pineview Water Systems General Manager Ben Quick saying this. He said this before the Ogden City Council last week. That's where these comments were made, as reported by the Standard Examiner. And he said that, with the flow they're seeing, they will officially hit, there's a certain level where they can't take any more, mainly because the pumping systems weren't built that low. And he said they'll hit that by August 1st, and they'll have no choice but to just basically cut off water at that point. August 1st. You know how dry and dead everything will be if they run out of water by August 1st?
How hot it can still be August 1st.
Oh, yeah. A lot of trees aren't making it through the winter, cutting off water August 1st with no rain. It's that dire out there. But here's what was interesting, though, Bill. I looked into this because my understanding of Pineview is that, I don't remember this ever happening before. I knew Pineview, like the rest of the state, had been through some moderate drought years where snowpack was low, maybe it was 15, 20% below capacity at a time when it usually is almost overflowing and they have to start running some off. So I know there have been years like that. I don't remember ever hearing about water cutoffs for the area out of Pineview because it's such a large reservoir.
Yeah.
So I did some quick texting of state water managers and some friends that we've had on the show over the years from the Utah Division of Water Quality, and I know all these people that are usually in the know on these things. And so I did some texting and said, what gives? Is there something very different going on there outside of just low snowpack and depleted reservoirs to begin with this year? And so here's what I was told. It's dry dirt. Things have been so dry for so many years in a row. Specifically, the last 3 years were cited in the texts. So the last 3 years specifically, but some before that too, off and on for the last 10. But the last 3 years have been so dry that the dirt dries out and it doesn't hold as much water itself, or at least doesn't hold it deep as it will sometimes do. And what that causes around all of our reservoirs, canals that aren't sealed canals, ditches where you still have them. I know a lot of areas in Cache Valley still use ditch irrigation. What happens is the dirt is so dry because the heat's so extreme for so long, and the previous year was dry, and the previous year was before that. The year before that was dry. What happens is it's like a sponge. It just sucks this water up and then evaporates quickly, and then it sucks up more and evaporates quickly. And so the Pineview water managers are saying that they're losing as much into the dry dirt as they are through their overnight flow. That's how much the reservoir itself is leaching into the dirt every night, the same amount that's being used overnight by the water district. And nothing can be done about that unless we want to build some very different reservoirs, which I also inquired about. And the price tag on that, well, I'll just put it this way. The state's not doing that anytime soon. That would be a huge expense. But yeah, so it's this, you're just kind of catching it from all sides in a drought when it comes to water and when you live in a desert. And that's just where we're at. So, yeah, hopefully this doesn't come to be. It sounds to me, the Standard Examiner story makes it sound like this is sort of a threat meant as a warning to hopefully avoid the situation. But that
to get people to change now if they can.
If they can, yeah. But that was the statement. Again, Pineview Water Systems General Manager Ben Quick telling Ogden City Council last week, if the water flow for the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District does not slow greatly, they will have no choice but shut off water for the entire district by August 1st. That's when they'll be out in Pineview Reservoir. Just blows me away. All right. On the other side, something more cheerful. How about that? The Cache Valley Cruise In scaled down quite a bit last year, though still happened and drew a crowd. They're excited to get back to normal, basically. And they're able to do so at the upcoming event with some pretty big name performers or performer and some events to celebrate the big return, I guess you'd say. Details on the Cache Valley Cruise In right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:38. The news is brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. Utah has seen 414,204 positive coronavirus cases since the start of the pandemic, including 254 reported today. The Utah Department of Health reports about 1.2% of the state's total cases, about 5,000, have been caused by a specific variant, with the Alpha variant, which originated in Britain, and the Delta variant, first identified in India, the most predominant. Utah's list of coronavirus deaths during the pandemic grew to 2,365, with 2 COVID fatalities reported today. With 16 new cases since Sunday, there have been 22,317 cases in northern Utah. Of the total, 22,001 are classified as recovered. Utah Department of Health numbers indicate that 2,121 people were tested for coronavirus since Sunday, while there were 6,936 total tests during that same period. Since the pandemic started, almost 2.8 million Utahns have been tested, and nearly 5.1 million tests have been conducted. The number of fully immunized people in the Bear River Health District is 51.6%. That includes 54.1% in Cache County, 46.2% in Box Elder County, and 47.2% in Rich County. Fire officials say a fire ripped through a Salt Lake City apartment building early Monday morning, causing extensive damage. Salt Lake City Fire Captain Tony Stowe says there were no major injuries or deaths reported at the 6-story building in downtown Salt Lake City. 2 firefighters were taken to the hospital for minor injuries and were later released. Stowe says some residents ran down the halls and banged on doors to wake up their neighbors and warn them. Fire officials say it is too early to determine the cause of the blaze. And many Americans aching for normalcy as pandemic restrictions end are looking forward to traditional 4th of July fireworks, but with a historic drought in the U.S. West and fears of another devastating wildfire season, officials are canceling displays, passing bans, or begging for caution. Fireworks already have caused a few small wildfires as some parts of the American West experience their worst drought conditions in more than 100 years. Local bans on personal fireworks are popping up from New Mexico to Idaho, and displays are being canceled in states like Colorado and Arizona, where several wildfires are burning. KBNU News Time is 4:41.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KBNU weather tonight, mostly clear, low in the upper 50s, close to 60 degrees, and then sunny and hot, 92 tomorrow, around 92 on Wednesday. And just now it's reached 90 degrees. That's the hottest it's been so far here at KBNU. And right now, 90 degrees. KBNU weather is brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors. They want to understand your family, job, hobbies, and goals to earn your long-term financial trust. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com to schedule a time with an advisor today. For more details on these and other stories, visit cachevalleydaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is financial advisor Clayton McMurdy from Edward Jones, bringing you the closing financial market report for Monday, June 28th. Equities were mixed to start the week, with the S&P 500 rising slightly while the Dow finished lower thanks to the weakness in Boeing shares. Technology led today while energy and financials trailed, reflecting a defensive undertone amid news that COVID-19 variants are driving increased cases globally. 10-year benchmark yields were slightly lower, hovering below the 1.5% mark. Overall, it was a quiet day as investors look ahead to the headliner for the week, which is Friday's June employment report, which will shed fresh light on the momentum in the labor market. In equities, the Dow was down 151 points at 34,283. The Nasdaq was up 140 points at 14,501, and the S&P 500 was up 10 points at 4,291. In the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 1.47%. And in commodity markets, the price of crude oil was down $1.22 at $72.83, and the spot price of gold was up $1 at $1,778.80. In stocks of local interest, Apple was up $1.67 at $134.78. Autoliv down $1.24 at $98.55. Campbell Soup was up 10 cents at $45.86. GE down 27 cents at $12.89. Home Depot was up 65 cents at $314.28. Lowe's up 55 cents at $193.21. Nucor down $1.58 at $95.11. Procter & Gamble up 40 cents at $135.22. R.R. Donnelley Sons up 5 cents at $6.40. Thermo Fisher up $12.23 at $505.10. Wells Fargo down 59 cents at 45.79. Walmart down 43 cents at 138.10. And Zions was down $2.03 at 53.45. This is Clayton McMurdy with today's closing financial report, brought to you by Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main Street in Logan. If you'd like any additional information or current stock prices, please contact us at 435-753-0537. Visit any of our 7 branches here in Cache Valley or online at edwardjones.com.
As the summer's war against weeds and pests rages on, a new bug threat starts hopping around, destroying garden plants and flowers. Luckily, you are ready for them with Logan Extermination's Perimeter Grasshopper Control. It's like a minefield for the minute menace.
Good job, men. Another bug bites the dirt. Let's regroup before the next wave hits.
They do what they are trained to do. Strike terror into termites, bash the bed bugs, and cook the cockroaches. Remember the brave men and women at Logan Extermination. Call 752-8450.
Prices start at only $65.
Attention homeowners! You may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I'll tell you a cool story about this. The reason you're hearing some Floyd Kramer here in a bit, but right now we have to get to a very special guest. It was scaled back quite a bit last year, though it still happened. This year it is back in full swing, and it's coming up in just days. The Cache Valley Cruise In about to be underway. Big performer this year, Leanne Rimes, as well, part of this event. And our own Bill Walter had a chance to get in touch with president of the Cache Valley Cruising Association, Brandon Douglas. Take it away, Bill.
Thank you, Jason. Well, on the telephone, we have Brandon Douglas, who's the president of the Cache Valley Cruising Association. We talked to Brandon last year in what was kind of a stressful situation, huh, Brandon, with the cruise in last year. Things looked hopeful early on, and then as you got closer, you ended up having the cruise in, but it essentially was pretty much the cruise in parade was the only event. But that is not the case this year.
No, it's not. This year we're back to a full-blown 3-day car show.
All right. And things, when did things kick off officially for this?
2 years ago when we were planning on doing it last year, but that was when the planning started anyways. But the car show itself will officially kick off on July 1st, and we're following our traditional schedule. We'll have a poker run on Thursday afternoon. We'll have the burnout contest Thursday evening, as well as a sock hop. On Friday, we'll have a cruise over to Bear Lake for those who want to participate in that. Friday night, we have our Leanne Rimes concert. Saturday, we have our award show, and that evening we'll give away the car and then go up on Main Street and drag Main. And then, of course, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we'll have cars down at the fairgrounds for the public to come and look at and view, and vendor food to come eat, and the Top Rod of Utah will be there. Glenn Beck is bringing two very expensive cars.
That's what I understand. And he, I guess he sent out a tweet or a post on social media that said he's, he doesn't want to talk politics or anything for this. He wants to talk cars, classic cars.
He says he wants to come and just be another car guy with everybody, and he wants to be there and participate in the activities that we're doing. But he's like, let's leave work at work. We're all on vacation, so let's just go and talk cars. And so we're excited to have him there, and he'll have two of his cars there that I've never seen either one, and I doubt very many people at our show will have ever seen a car like these either. So come and check them out.
So he will be there all 3 days?
He will be, yep. And he'll have his cars inside the event center. He'll be part of the Top Rod of Utah. And his plan is to be there all 3 days and just sit and visit and talk cars.
And, of course, last year you had hoped to have Leanne Rimes, but that didn't work out. So it's great you were able to get her back for this year. How did that work out? Was that pretty difficult to do, or was that fairly easy to get her to return?
It wasn't hard at all, to be honest. She was in the same boat as we all were. Her world kind of came to a crashing halt, and she loves to preform. And in order for her to stay busy last year, she took part on The Masked Singer, and of course, as we now know, she won that contest. But as far as getting her to come for the show this year, when we realized we had to cancel the show, we told her we still want to have her come to our show and asked her if she'd be willing to come this year instead of last year, and she didn't even hesitate. She just said, absolutely, we're happy to do that. She wanted to come here and play, and
that is awesome.
So we just returned everybody's money that had bought tickets and said, watch for them to go on sale again, and we'll get you back to the concert. And here we are, just a few days away from it.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Yeah. So how does it feel for you? I mean, you've just got to be just stoked about this, right?
Yes, we had a club meeting last night talking about the show, and even though last year it was nice to take a little break and just focus on just the parade, everybody's so excited to be back to a 3-day show. And even though it's a lot of work and sometimes it's a lot of stress, we also have a lot of fun. It's so amazing when we see somebody see a car that all of a sudden they fall in love with that car, and they may have never seen one before like it. And when you have those moments, it makes it all worth it. And when someone shares their story about their car that they bought and why they chose a Trans Am over a 57 Chevy, or why they chose a square body pickup over a Camaro, it just it's cool to hear those stories, and about that, maybe their dad passed it down, or after having those moments, it makes it worth it.
I'm sure everybody has a unique story behind the vehicles that they're gonna bring. Tell us a little bit about the giveaway car.
It's a 1927 Ford T-Bucket. It's painted very Americana. It's red, white, and blue, stars, stripes, and everything. It's very appropriate for a patriotic celebration. And anybody who attends our car show, 18 and older, obviously they're going to have to buy a ticket to get in. But on that ticket, they just tear a stub off of it, drop it in the tumbler. And if they're still with us Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock, right after the awards show, we spin the tumbler, we reach in, we pull a ticket, and if that person's there, they drive home with the car that night. If they're not, we give them 5 minutes to tell us they're there, and if we don't hear from them, we reach in and pull the next ticket out, and somebody's going to take the car home Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. It is awesome. I think it's made the rounds. It's been in front of the Radio Ranch here at one point. That is fantastic. So tell us, how do the tickets work? How much are the tickets for the car show?
The car show, it's $10, and that's for 18 and older. If you're 17 and younger, you get them for free. So if you're a traditional Utah family and you have 6 to 8 kids, it's a great 3-day event. You buy the 2 tickets for the adults, and all the kids come along with mom and dad, and you can come all 3 days on the same ticket. there's no reason to be bored over the first, second, third holiday weekend.
Oh, that is great. That's fantastic. Anything else you'd like to tell us about this year's event, about the Cruise In?
Just that we're excited to be back in, if you want to say back in business, we're back in business. So we're encouraging people to come without masks or with masks, whatever they're feeling comfortable with. And we just are hoping that people on both sides of that fence show kindness towards the other, whether they're wearing them or not. We just want people to come and be there and be with us and celebrate the holiday weekend, but also enjoy these great cars that people work so hard to put together or build or put their money away to save up and buy. And just a time to all get together, and especially after the last year we had and having to be socially distant from each other. We don't want anyone to have an excuse not to come, and just want them to come and be part of the show.
All right. And that'll be going on Thursday, July 1st, Friday the 2nd, and Saturday the 3rd. Most events at the Cache County Fairgrounds, and, of course, the Main Street Cruising Parade to kind of wrap everything up. Saturday night, 6:30 is the start on that?
Yep, the parade starts at 6:30, and it will go till 8 o'clock.
All right, awesome. Brandon Douglas from the Cache Valley Cruise In Association. We are all looking forward to this greatly, especially with what happened last year, to the 2021 Cache Valley Cruise In. Well, thank you, Brandon, for spending a few minutes with us here on KVNU.
You bet. Thank you very much.
And now, Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Bill. And that's going to be welcome news to a lot of folks that is back happening the way you expect it to happen. The Cache Valley Cruise In this weekend. Big return after 2020 scaling back to just the parade. This year it's the parade and everything else, too. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, number 45. That's right, former President Trump on his imminent trip to the border, whether he'll run again, and so much more.
You never know what Donald Trump is going to say, especially when it's live on the radio. You can't miss it. Hour number 2 of the program, Donald Trump, 45 himself, with me, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton. Tuesday edition, come hang.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
The American Festival Chorus and Orchestra bring to life the powerful Mozart Requiem, July 10th at 1 p.m. in the Ellen Eccles Theater. This magnificent work will take you on an emotional journey that ends with hope and healing, comfort and peace. Dr. Craig Jessup and the American Festival Chorus are gifting all proceeds to Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater. Come and be inspired. UtahFestival.org, UtahFestival.org.
245 years ago, this great nation was born. From all of us at Hanson Motors in Brigham City, we join with you to extend a heartfelt thank you to the men and women of our armed forces for keeping us safe and ensuring that our nation remains the land of the free. As we remember our national heroes, may we renew our commitment to uphold the freedoms and unity we value so much as Americans. Happy 4th of July from Hanson Motors in Brigham City.
This is Sweetwater Window Cleaning. Summer is here, and so are all the activities. Why not have us take care of the window cleaning for you? I'm sure you've got plenty on your to-do list already. And let's face it, when you climb that dangerous ladder to clean your own windows, they seldom come out as good as you'd like. Let us give you the crystal clean professional results you want. Mention this ad, and we'll remove hard water for free.
Sweetwater Window Cleaning, 3636543, 3636543.
Every Saturday morning at 9, you get information to prepare you with retirement solutions for the journey ahead. It's Smart Money Ascent with Clayton Alexander of Teton Wealth Group.
How do we solve that number one fear or that number one concern? Make sure you never run out of money.
And Teton Wealth Group's Ethan Miller.
Then, when you leave Teton, when you leave our offices, you're going to have a plan that you're both excited about.
It's where your retirement questions are answered. Smart Money Ascent, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
That's it for hour one of today's show, but stay tuned. Kicking off hour two, our guest is Randall Bagley. He's with USU Extension and runs a service called Agribility. What is it? Well, it's something really cool happening in our own backyard that's helping farmers and ranchers, if injuries as they age, other disabilities that can pop up, and surprise events in life, stay in the business of farming and ranching. Something they wouldn't be able to do otherwise without services like these. Randall Bagley and Agribility, right after this here on KVNU Logan.